With this Boston Bruins miserable season slowly coming to an end, the draft is upon the Boston Bruins. With names like James Hagens and Michael Misa out there available in this draft, and the Bruins expected to get a high draft pick, we're going to be talking about this as well as a recent report from Conor Ryan breaking down some of this very interesting draft details coming out over the recent days. We're going to be talking about all of this stuff here in this video. Very quickly before we get into it, be sure to hit the sub button if you haven't already. We know that just over 70% of you guys watching right now are not subscribed to the channel. If you're looking for a spot for all of your Boston Bruins news, you're in that right spot. Hit the sub button, join me here on the channel. We are covering everything Boston Bruins. Without any further ado, let's get into this video here. Starting off with a very interesting kind of look here, as we'll get into that one in a minute. The standings for the Boston Bruins still are not that bad. Now, when we look at this season for the Boston Bruins, we would almost say this is a wash, but when we're looking at 6 points out of a playoff spot, the Bruins are not at all completely out of this. Now, with the teams surrounding them, tied with the Pittsburgh Penguins, who are also currently in 8th place, many teams ahead of them, but still all within a point, the Bruins can still manage to make something happen. And now, with about 10 games left, give or take, it still would be a long shot, but the way this Bruins team has, been able to overcome some adversity this season while also still losing some very, very bad games that they should win, the odds are really stacked against them here, but we're not counting out anything as impossible. Now, I want to go into exactly what this kind of touched on, what Joe Sacco had to say about this, and how the Bruins are still not out of this yet. He says, you can also just look at, we're 3 points right now. This came before the loss yesterday and all these other standings, so take that with a piece of mind here. That's what's separating us from the last wildcard spot right now as we stand here today. To me, that should be one of our focuses, and it's one of our focuses as a group to make sure we understand that we're still in the thick of things here and nothing changes for us as far as our mindset and how we prepare and how we get ready for games. Now, Joe Sacco had to say this, said this, I believe, yesterday or the day before, with the standings all moving out now at 6 points. He's still not counting this team out. And of course, you don't want your coach to come out and say, yeah, we're going to lose. But this fan base has been very adamant that at this point in the season, call it a wash. Go get a good pick. Go get an actual prospect that can come right into the NHL and have success to help this team, because we know that's what the Boston Bruins are going to need. Now, when you're looking at this kind of standings here, the situation we're in, everything that is coming along with this, and still being only 6 points at this point right now with 10 games left out of a playoff spot, as you've seen from the first screenshot that I pulled up on accident, Money Puck has Boston tabbed with a 0% shot of making the postseason, with the Bruins now 6 points out of the final wildcard spot in the Eastern Conference with just 10 games left on the regular season docket. Now, I believe it's 9 now. Correct me if I'm wrong, but with 9 games left, it still is possible. The odds are very, very, very slim. Now, from watching this game, watching this team play, looking at the most recent West Coast road trip, where thankfully that is now over so we don't have to stay up in all hours of the night to watch this team lose, we get to see what the rest of the season is going to be like. This West Coast road trip should have contained quite a few wins. And of course, now with this team, I really can't expect any wins from this team. But when you're going out and losing to Anaheim like they did last night, completely unacceptable for a team that has a chance of making the playoffs. And I do understand completely why Money Puck has put this here with those recent losses and another loss to the Anaheim Ducks kind of adding on top of this quote here. So when we're looking at this season, it is almost guaranteed to be over for the Boston Bruins. At this point left, with these 9-10 games left, whatever it may be, the Bruins should be looking to get the best pick as possible. And this is kind of what Conor Ryan was talking about here in this article. And I got a few screenshots from here, and shout out to Conor Ryan for this. Be sure to go check it out. Some very good insights on Boston.com about this upcoming draft. Now, when we're looking at the available pick percentage for what the Boston Bruins may get, this is as of before the Anaheim Ducks game last night. So it's a 6.5% chance of the number 1, a 6.7% chance of the number 2, a 0.2% chance of the number 3. The number 7 is a 44.4% chance. The number 8 is a 36.5% chance. And the number 5 is a 5.6% chance. Now, if we flash back to 2020, we saw the Rangers, who were 18th overall in the NHL, get that first overall pick, drafting Alexis Lafreniere from that. And it just goes to show how unpredictable the draft lottery can be. And although you may have the number 1 odds, that does not mean at all that you will get them. So the Boston Bruins, the more they lose, the better chances they will get. Now, it's still not a guarantee. It's still not, a likely chance at 6.5% and 6.7% respectively for the 1 and 2. Right now, that's still not very likely. But when you're looking at the number 7, and as you move down throughout the standings and the teams that are behind the Bruins, there's a pretty good chance the Bruins could potentially move up to maybe even number 3 at this point. With the 9 games left, comparing 9 wins to 9 losses, or 5-6 points here with some overtime losses, whatever. In the best interest for the Boston Bruins for next season, it would be to lose all the games. I know that sucks to say from a Boston Bruins fan, from watching these games all season, going from last year's playoffs to this year's regular season failure. We wanted to see this team win, but at this point now, it really is no point in making them win here with this time left. So when we're looking at these picks, of course, losing will be more important to this team. And I'm also very interested, and I don't know if I don't know the exact mathematics standpoint from this, but if anybody do, let me know in the comments below. With the losses of the Boston Bruins moving more, I wonder how much percentage grows for this number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever it may be, pick here in this draft, because it has to be quite a bit with, some of these teams, the Sharks, the Blackhawks, both being very, very low in the NHL, already eliminated, and being some teams that are likely to get this 1 and 2. I'm very interested to see the percentage change as the games go on and the Bruins lose some more. But we'll have to look at that as more games progress, of course, because one game won't make that much of a difference. But when we look at this, the Bruins could also conceivably move further up in the draft leaderboard and juice up their odds if a team continues to relinquish points. And the Penguins and Kraken, 458 or .458 point percentage, keep on winning. Penguins currently tied with the Bruins in the wild card on point percentage, and the Kraken now also around that area. I don't know exactly on the western side of things, but I know the Penguins are tied. The Bruins could conceivably move up as far as 5th overall in the draft order, although the Flyers, who are 1-8-1 in their last 10 games, don't seem ready to budge from their spot in the draft order. Recently fired John Tortorella as well, going to show that this season for them also is a big failure. Now, this once again comes from Boston.com, Conor Ryan's tweet and article, And going into this further, looking at the way that these teams around the Bruins are really kind of playing out. The Penguins are still going to be trying to go for that shot. And obviously with Crosby, Malkin, those guys on that team, Letang, they're not going to be wanting to go down to a rebuild. They're going to try and sneak in. So that really should make some sense for the Bruins. The Kraken as well, a team that has been getting better since their expansion draft entry into the NHL and continuing to add. They're also in a spot where they can be around the same spot as the Bruins, really add some more players to just get that a little bit better. But they still don't want to go too far down in the standings, so it's going to be interesting to see where both of these teams really reside here in the remainder of the season when it comes down to wins, losses, points for the NHL draft. Now, as painful as it is for the Bruins season might be, the potential for Boston securing top 3 picks will be a welcome scenario, especially if it allows the franchise on a short and high skill to select a playmaking talent like Michael Misa and going from Boston College freshman center James Hagens. Now, these are the 2 that I put in the intro video. Those are the 2 here. Those are the 2 that I think are very, very interesting for the Boston Bruins here. And especially James Hagens, a Boston College guy, a guy who's been insane, as you see there, especially with Michael Misa as well, and James Hagens. We kind of get a better look at James Hagens being from Boston College, keeping a close eye on that team. Both of these options would be absolutely phenomenal for the Boston Bruins. Michael Misa, 134 points in 65 OHL games, over 2 points per game, an incredible stat line for him. But regardless of who the Bruins do go out and get, which I do have the screenshot right here of the Tankathon.com top 10, mock draft. Now, this is not the draft order. This is currently where we are. So the Penguins, the Kraken, both could advance over here. But we're looking at this. James Hagens at 3, Michael Misa at 2. Now, still, this is not the specific draft order. I do think that this draft is very interesting when it comes down to who's going to be going where. I think it's pretty tight when that comes to that. But when you looked at a few guys up to the top, Matthew Schaefer, Michael Misa, Porter Marchand, James Hagens, Caleb Desnoyers, Victor Eklund, those guys really are in that area that they're going to be in. I think the top 4 could potentially be locked down, but we've seen some crazier things in the past few seasons, kind of, especially last season, going back to that draft. That was a very stacked draft class, and a lot of people slipped from where they thought they were going to be. So with the Bruins being able to move up and players potentially being able to slip down in this draft, the Bruins have a very good chance here. And you see the points in the games on that right side of things there. And looking at where people are playing, where all of these players kind of come from is a big thing as well. Like, we know the OHL, WHL, QMJHL, they're all very different compared to the NCAA playing over in Sweden. So don't look at the points too much here when it comes down to just this specific list. But when it comes down to players being very, very valuable for this team, you get to see quite a few of those. And of course, Matthew Schaefer injured here for the majority of the season at the World Juniors. 22 points in 17 games as a defenseman. Kind of crazy, but let's go in and have a look at this season here as these players come into it. And I hope we see some big names with the Boston Bruins. We'll be keeping a close eye here on the channel about the draft stock of these players, as well as the Bruins picks when it does come down to the later points in the season, where we kind of get down to these, 3 to 4 to, 2 games left in the season, where we kind of stand from there. And then towards the draft lottery, because the Bruins are going to have to make some work there. They're going to have to do a lot in free agency, a lot in the draft to make this team better. And they've already got one thing down in the trade deadline, which was pretty successful so far. They have quite a few picks, as we're seeing here as well, so I'm excited to see what the Bruins do with all of these picks, potentially moving some. You never really know what's going to happen, but I'm very excited to see how this does progress. Let me know what you think in the comments below about the Bruins pick. Who do you want to see? Where do you want to see them? Do you want to continue winning some games this year? Do you want us to lose, get down to a better draft position? Let me know what you think in the comments below. That's all I got in this video. If you did enjoy, give it a like, hit the sub button as well. But I'm signing out. Thank you for watching. Hope you have a great day. See you later.